Leanne, we missed the introduction.
Hello and welcome to CAMSA Connect, your weekly worship service from Cambridge Salvation Army here in the UK.
We're really glad you've joined us. Today our theme is In the Beginning, and we're considering the importance of giving thanks to God and also taking the opportunity for a well-earned rest. We feel much rested now after that sleep.
Definitely. Well, this week and next we're in the book of Genesis, thinking about the creation story. Coming up today, though, we have music from the Young People's Band and a story for the young and the young at heart from Phil.
We'll also have more news on the work of the Salvation Army overseas in the latest of the Self-Denial Appeal videos, and Colonel Alan Bateman is our special guest speaker.
Fantastic. Well, let's get things started with a beautiful hymn of praise that looks back to the dawn of creation and encourages us to offer our praises to God. Please join us in singing Morning Has Broken Like the First Morning.
Thanks for joining in that song. Please join us in this responsive prayer about the goodness of God. Creator God, in bright light and dull darkness, in the energy of each day and the rest that comes with night, we remember the goodness of God.
In the heavens high above our heads, in waters that run deep around the world,
we remember the goodness of God. In solid land and flowing seas, in vivid flowers and fruit-laden trees, we remember the goodness of God.
In the rising and setting of the sun and the cycles of the seasons, in the patterns of the shining stars, we remember the goodness of God.
In oceans teeming with fish, in skies filled with birds,
we remember the goodness of God. In a world filled with animal life and in ourselves as human beings, we remember the goodness of God.
And God looked and saw all that he had made, and indeed it was very, very good. In rest and reflection, in wonder and worship, we remember the goodness of God. Amen.
Thanks for sharing in that prayer. Coming up in a few moments, we'll have the online offering, the Bible reading from Francesca, and the latest self-denial video, which this week focuses on the Salvation Army in Moldova.
First, though, with a thought for the young and the young at heart, here's Phil, and he's showing us a very old TV advert.
50 years of Mars goodness, and now we bring you the biggest Mars bar ever. Even more milk, more glucose, more sugar, and more thick chocolate in a bar that's bigger than ever before. Tremendous value, really satisfying. The biggest Mars bar ever.
So kids, if you've got 15p, get yourself the biggest Mars bar ever. Isn't it great that a chocolate bar can help us to work, help us to play, and help us rest too? But for those of us giving up chocolate for Lent, you've only got 2 days to polish them off, so you better get going. Did you know that work, rest and play are all biblical things? Things that God did. Take a look at our reading today. That's how the heavens and the earth were created in their vast array. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So, on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. God had worked hard at creating the heavens and the earth. Then he rested. It must have been hard work, and for 6 whole days too. How would God have rested? What would he have done? Does God really need to rest? Well, he obviously did, and so do we. How do you rest? Do nothing? Watch telly? Sleep? Read a book? Go for a walk? I guess it's rest if it's doing whatever you need to do to take your mind and body away from your work. The trick with work, rest and play is to get them all in the right proportion. Now I guess God worked on a 6-to-1 ratio of work to play, and he suggested that for us too, keeping 1 day free to rest and relax and also focus on him. A time to be still and know that he is God. But don't forget that God only rested when he completed his work. So if you've got homework to do, revision, other jobs, chores to do, make sure you've done as much as you can before resting. Why? Because then you'll be able to rest properly, without stressing, without worrying about what you still have to do. So this week, I pray that you'll be productive in all that you have to do. I pray you complete the job's to-do list so that you can find time to rest and feel God's presence as you have an opportunity to be still. Right, I'm off for a little sit down and my mega Mars bar.
Today's reading is selected verses taken from Genesis 1 and 2. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has a breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. And it was so. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. Amen.
Hello, and welcome to the third of our films for this year's Self-Denial Appeal.
For this year's Self-Denial Appeal, we are focusing on children and young people and how the Salvation Army is equipping, enabling and supporting them around the world.
And this week, we're in Moldova.
It's early morning in Yeloveni, a small town in Moldova. In the Salvation Army building, Dmitry is getting ready for school.
Мне 14 лет, я с Украины. Я поднимаюсь в 6 часов, получается, и после этого я встаю, умываюсь, чищу зубы, потом иду кушать, одеваюсь, и потом я выхожу на остановку и сажусь на маршрутку и еду до школы.
Dmitry fled here from Ukraine with his granddad after the fighting started in February last year. But this is not the first time he's had to flee from conflict. He was born in Donetsk, close to the Russian border. It's been unstable there since 2014. One night, his home was bombed and his parents and siblings were killed. He was the only survivor.
Я точно уже не помню, как это был маленький слишком. Мне где-то годиков было 7. В первую очередь бомбили очень сильно. Это Донецк сильно бомбили, Луганск бомбили очень сильно. Мы прятались в подвалах, получается. Я точно уже не помню.
Пальчик убери с Донецка. Не, покажи рядом пальчик, чтобы был.
Dmitry and his granddad moved to Odessa and settled there. But when the bombing started last year, they knew they couldn't stay. They packed what they could and headed over the closest border to Moldova.
Были такие переживания, что за наш дом было переживание, за родственников было очень сильное переживание. И было насчет переживания, что мы выйдем с Украины, что не выйдем, что границы закроют очень быстро. И
Millions of people, like Dmitry and his granddad, fled Ukraine. In Poland, Romania and Moldova, Salvation Army teams provided food and emergency accommodation. Salvation Army halls were cleared to make space for beds, and Salvation Army kitchens provided extra meals. Some families stayed just a few nights before moving on to other countries in Europe. Others have stayed longer. The Salvation Army has offered shelter to Dmitry and his granddad for as long as they need.
все хорошо, мы тут спим хорошо. Тепло тут на втором этаже, на первом этаже так чуть-чуть холодновато. Ну, я сплю здесь, а где-то там спит, получается. Я здесь сплю, а где-то там спит. Когда Когда я первый раз приехал сюда, в Леовене, в эту церковь, я сначала переживал, думал, что тут вообще на другом языке все разговаривают именно. Но потом я привык к этому языку, меня начали в магазине понимать.
Over the last year, the Corps in Yeloveni has sheltered scores of families, providing accommodation, food and support. At the moment, there are 12 Ukrainians staying here.
Мне очень тут все нравится, потому что тут открытая местность, и тут можно просто посидеть там, поразговаривать хотя бы с кем-то. На втором этаже тоже все хорошо, можно поиграть с детками.
As the conflict has continued, so has the Salvation Army's support. They've opened up extra places in after-school clubs to help Ukrainian children who haven't been able to go to school. They're distributing school textbooks and supplies to young people who need them. And they've been distributing vouchers that can be used to buy food and provisions in local supermarkets. Dmitry and his granddad aren't thinking of returning anytime soon, so they're looking for a local apartment. But in the meantime, the Corps has welcomed them and they've settled in. Dmitry had some questions about faith and asked one of the members here.
И он мне рассказал, как можно в Бога поверить и принять веру. И теперь я приходил, тут слушал все, вставал, постоянно молился за близких, за родственников. И получается, и из-за этого я уже поверил в Бога и начал его верить. Церковь мне потому что нравится, тут можно помолиться там хотя бы, в Бога там хотя бы поверить. И тут может все хорошее рассказать. О мире там, о природе, обо всем может рассказать.
What an amazing story.
And we're all thinking about the people of Ukraine as the crisis continues.
Next week, we're going to school in Kenya, where we'll be meeting Just Frida.
We look forward to seeing you then.
Wow, that was really inspirational. Such a sad story about that young man and his family, but great to see that he has found safety and welcome through the Salvation Army in Moldova.
Yes, indeed. OK, well, coming up, the Young People's Band will remind us about how amazing our Creator God is, and Colonel Allen will help us think a little bit more about the work and rest balance Phil reminded us of earlier. First, though, here's Norman with this week's update.
Thanks, Leanne and Martin, and hello, everyone. Last Saturday was the long-awaited visit of the Salvation Army's Household Troops Band to Cambridge, which I have been announcing recently. Over 150 people enjoyed the high-quality programme which was presented not only to celebrate the 90th birthday of Major John Mott, who was instrumental in reforming that band and leading them for 25 years, but also it was a fundraiser for the recent refurbishment of our buildings. We are very grateful for donations given on the night and are pleased to announce that over £800 was raised. Thank you so much. There are still works outstanding in our building scheme due to so many factors including COVID and materials availability. But the outstanding works are gradually getting completed, and they are not stopping us opening our hub on Tuesdays to Fridays as we are part of the Warm Welcome campaign, and we are able to offer shelter, warmth and hot drinks to anyone who needs it. Opening times are on our website, and details of our Sunday and weekday activities can also be found on our website as noted in the video description below. If you are able, why not come along and have a look for yourself and see what goes on during the week? We'd love to see you, and you might even decide that you could be a volunteer in our hub or our charity shop, and any time that could be given will be much appreciated. As well as our weekday activities, we also meet for worship on a Sunday morning, and we'd invite you to share in worship with us at 10:30 a.m. each week, where we meet for all-age worship and share fellowship over tea and coffee afterwards. On the first Sunday of each month after the meeting, we hold a prayer fellowship, and our next one will be on the 5th of March. A reminder that this coming Tuesday, the 21st of February, is Shrove Tuesday, Pancake Day. You know, I dreamt last night I was making pancakes whilst driving along a twisty road. I was tossing and turning all night. Right now, you need to make some space wherever you are watching. Stand up, start limbering up, as our young people's band are going to bring to us a setting of the chorus sung in many Sunday schools, I'm sure. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, which reminds us of God's amazing creation. Take it away, guys and girls.
Many people have heard the much-quoted words, "All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy." It has acquired a few more words over the years. Samuel Smiles puts it this way: "All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, but all play and no work makes him something worse." This quotation throws some light on the subject of work and leisure, but let's put the quotation into a biblical context for the purpose of this short reflection. God is a God who acts. He works in creation, in redeeming and saving us. However, he is also a God who designed and created the world with a specific day of rest. The example of Jesus underscores the same rhythm of work and leisure. Christians participate in the work of God through spreading the gospel and caring for the needy. Daily work is a necessary part of everyday living for us as Christians. We live in a fallen world, and as a result, our current society has, by and large, sidelined the day of rest and much of the biblical framework of the Sabbath. Some Christians see work as a matter of calling or vocation. God calls us to serve him in society, and in this way we participate in his work and show his love and justice. However, no human works can earn or merit salvation. Nonetheless, many Christians believe that hard work is a sign of and a positive outcome of salvation. The English Reformation in the late 15th and early 16th century was the time when the Protestant work ethic developed on a large scale. At this time in history, work was seen as a vocation or calling which gave the Christian worker an opportunity to glorify God in all that they did. It meant that Christians must be industrious and hard-working, critical of idleness and laziness, both of which reveal lack of integrity and commitment. The purpose of work is to glorify God and benefit society. It also meant that there must be moderation in work, in other words, time allowed for worship and rest. This work ethic did not really succeed because many workers were more motivated by earning money and getting rich. Furthermore, there was the pressure from a largely secular society which was increasingly moving away from prioritising worship and safeguarding the Sabbath. Then came the Industrial Revolution, when people did not own so much of their own time, which reduced the time available for leisure. As a result, more people became apathetic to work and with unrealistic expectations as far as salary and conditions were concerned. Consequently, the biblical framework of vocation, stewardship of time and money, and the need to serve others were abandoned and pushed to one side. The result is that as Christians in today's society, we have to swim against the tide of secularism and especially the desire to grow rich and seek status and fame. It is becoming a me society, self-centered and very competitive. Our job as Christians in this kind of society is, I believe, to re-emphasize and reclaim the dignity and sanctity of work. We see in Genesis God as creator and the one who established a balance between work and leisure. Surely we are stewards of all that we've been given with the goal of serving God and society. We have no reason to suppose that there is any aspect of life in which God is not present. God is the owner of our lives, with our work as something offered back to him for his glory and not our own. There is a place for the occasional retreat, however temporary that may be, to re-evaluate resources, to recover our energy, pray, read his word, and wait in patience for the inexorable turning of the tide. Remember that Jesus called his disciples to come apart with him and rest a while. Here are some helpful words from a song in the Salvation Army songbook. Come ye yourselves apart and rest a while, weary, I know it, of the press and throng. Wipe from your brow the sweat and dust of toil, and in my quiet strength again be strong. Then, fresh from converse with your Lord, return and work till daylight softens into Eden. The brief hours are not lost in which you learn more of your Master and his rest in heaven. God bless you.
Let's share together in a prayer. Lord God, we thank you for the beautiful world you have created. Help us to be good stewards of all you have entrusted us with, our money, our talents, and our time.
Generous Creator God, send us out to do your work in the world and to rest when that work is done. Amen.
And amen to that. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. We'll be back next week when we're in Genesis chapter 2, thinking about the issue of temptation.
Yep, we'll have a word of testimony from one of our congregation members, the latest on the work of the Salvation Army in Kenya, and a new piece of music from our senior band.
Excellent stuff. So in the meantime, don't forget to like the video if you did. Leave us a comment below to tell us where you're from. Consider subscribing to us here on YouTube, and you can catch us over on Facebook too. So do link with us there.
All right then, well, let's close today's episode with a song to help us praise our Creator God for all he has provided. Until next week, everyone, keep safe, keep well,
and keep connected.
God bless you.